All right, time for another video. Got handed this kind of commemorative plaque thing with like a frame that needs to be welded up. And so I figured this would be a kind of a semi-simple one for me to just hit record and do one of my start to finish videos. You know, something like a big monument sign or some electrical sign. That could take a lot longer, so I'm still kind of working on that. You know, it would be nice to be able to do a series. But for this, I'll just hit record, get cracking on it, and you can just kind of see how I do it for those that are at my shop who want to kind of maybe learn how to do something like this, or those who are, you know, welcome to new subscribers. It's great. People are playing along at home, want to pop some popcorn, see how this is done. So let's get after it. So essentially I was given the full size file. And then what I do is I like to look at our permit drawing basically to make sure that all the numbers jive. So I confirm, you know, like our news media used to do. I like to confirm with at least 2 or 3 sources to make sure things are proper. So I got 32 by 24 on this thing. They want it to be 42 inches high. It looks like some kind of frame and, you know, some kind of thing that's going to mount after it's painted and everything. Probably use some screws from the back. I'm thinking 1024. So I just kind of look at this first, and that's why I asked for a full size to be given to me by the designer. So JR, he does a good job of, he actually takes the PDF and just gives me that here, but it's, you know, it's to scale and all that. And I work in 1:1. So then he takes this and full sizes it for me to make sure that everything jives. So then what I do is I take the full size and I check the X and the Y and I go against the verify, you know, like Reagan used to say, trust but verify. I check to make sure the written numbers jive with what I see with the full size. That gave this time, this was a little too small. This was 24 by 18. I'm seeing that it's supposed to be 32 by 24. So I went and asked him, and he said, yep, that was, you know, there was a sizing issue. So, you know, and I checked that this was 24 as well. So I think we wanted it to be 24, but it wasn't. So again, asking for a full size that's verified and I can double check against drawings versus if I'd have just taken this drawing, who knows, you know, whatever. And in this drawing, you can see where, you know, this is still a live text and I might not have this, you know, live text. So that's why I want all my text to be flattened. I want it to be all curves because that way I don't have to go find that font if I don't have that font. So anyway, so now that we're here, we're in my play space. We're in my workshop. I'm at 1:1. I have all my nudges. This is my default. So I copy pasted it out of the file he sent me and I'm ready to get cracking. So I'm going to take my exporter here. Now I always keep Notepad pinned. We send each other hyperlinks of where the file is to just go, you know, when we're on the server. So I just copy paste that hyperlink into my Notepad. Notepad's awesome as a landing spot. It's a landing pad, if you will, for copy paste, temporary quick stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the file name. I'm gonna pull the job name out of this right here, just this simple. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here into my exporter. And the exporter then, and I'm just gonna get rid of that, I don't need that. So now City of La Quinta Public Art is gonna be the file name, part of it, like the job name. And then this is the description of what it is. So I'm just gonna call it Harmony Plaque. And I'm gonna keep it lowercase and I'm gonna use underscores for that part. And then I'm just gonna hit save CDR and that's gonna name it. So you can see, bam, it's saved and it's popped it up into my homework file here. So it's all saved, City of La Quinta Public Art, Harmony, blah, blah, blah. And it puts all the date and everything. I have all this stuff put on there. So that way we're good to go. I've got a video of this already if you wanna watch it, but we can go over that some point later. So exporter home, so now we're all set. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this though as the page of record. So I know what happened. I got this right here. I can always refer to this later. And kind of like a non-destructive sort of undo, but I'm just gonna leave it. That way, you know, nothing changes. So now I'm just gonna take what I need. This is all I need here. I'm just gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste it forward. So I'm just gonna go to the left here. I'm gonna make a new page. I'm gonna hit paste. So now we're good to go. And I'm just gonna kind of work from here. So first and foremost, I'm going to grab me a fresh version of this that doesn't have all this stuff on it because I don't need all of this right now. What I need to do is just dig out the main piece here. So I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna bring it over. And I'm gonna double check its size. It's 31.9997. which always drives me crazy. And what I also like to do is, since I'm working with somebody else's stuff, I like to double check the calligraphy. So I have my properties docker here. And if I select this, I see that the calligraphy is actually set to 67 instead of 100. So I like to get that nice square. And what it does is it helps things when you switch it over to like hairline. So I also like to work with a hairline here, so 0.03. And I like to get rid of any dash dot, whatever. So kind of clean up what they had. And I want to make sure that this is 32. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that to 32, not 23. There you go. So 32 by 24 exact dimensions really helps out, kind of like that. So now that we have that set up the way I like it, just keep hitting save. Got to remember to hit save. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down to here, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to recreate this but I'm going to do it with my hairlines. So with my stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, and you can see where, you know, it's because it scales up, it gets kind of really funky. So I got 1.5000 whatever. So if I hit X and I hit Y, that gives me these, and then I can go ahead and clean that up over here on rectangular, and then I can hit Y, that gives me 50, and then boom. So I'm going to make this blue. We're going to make the frame blue, and I'm going to go ahead and put that there, and then. Actually, you know what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that. And then now I have this. So that's 1.5 by 1.5. But if I just get rid of this and hit this, I get a square at 1.5. So I'm going to do that, hit blue. And then I'm going to send that to the top and to the center. And then I'm going to get rid of rubbish. So there we go. And then if I hit this, this guy here, how far is it? I can see that the Y dimension on center of these two is 10.599. It's kind of sloppy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate this guy. So we've got 2.93. So I'm going to just hit X and Y. I'm going to clean that up. If I hit the Y here, it cleans it up to 1. If I hit the X, it takes it to 3. So now I have a nice even numbers little stick here. Let's go ahead and make that purple just for differentiation purposes. So I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the center of this tube there. And now you can see where that's kind of where we want that. We're looking good there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it up into the, well, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this one first. I'm going to just run this down and kind of get it even numbers. I like 11. 11's a good number. I don't know why, but I want 11. I like putting 11 in some of this stuff. So we got 11 on center. So I'm going to just copy this, bring it down. Because I'm going to go ahead and be trimming this anyway. So I'm just going to extend this out. Just like that. And hit save. There we go. So now I have these two verticals. These are at centers on 11 each other. We're coming out this way. We're looking good. So, and now that we have this, I'd like to know kind of what this is right here, whatever this is. So if I just draw a line there and I hit curve machine right there, we can see that that's 0.99. That distance right there is 0.99. So we're close, you know, obviously we're close to an inch. So what if I were to just poke this up an inch that way? We do an inch this way, you know, looking good there. So now we need to transition, because now that we have this kind of built more to, you know, whatever you call it, like even numbers, everything's kind of nice and even. So this is going to be, you know, 3 inches in from there. And then this will be whatever this is. You know, at some point, one of them has to win. So you're going to have either a funky number here and a funky number there when you're dealing with this. Now, speaking of funky, I guarantee you this is going to be at some weird, strange angle. And if I look up here, it is 26.75. Again, we're all about making things easier in the back shop. You know, the chop saw you get has demarcations for each degree. So chop saw is not really good at doing fractions. You know, you can't go to space, and you know, you can't go to space on a fraction. So you want to make sure that what I like to do is I like to take that and even it out so it's easy to work with. So we know that we have our real size here. So we need to make this actually be 24, and then we need to figure out what this piece is going to be next. So what I like to do is I'll grab this. Thank you for your service, don't need you. So I hit Y, that gives me 24. I scroll down here and I get 20.25. So this will be our side profile in red. And we can just even that up. So now this needs to go here. So let's check this degree. So we have 26.75 degrees. So what I like to do is I'll grab this and then I hit on my go time here, I hit my degrees. This is my minitator. So what this is a rotator machine that just keeps this loaded up, because when you're dealing with rotation in Corel, you have to retype up here like an animal all the time. Just, you know, and it only goes to the counterclockwise. So if you go 26, then that's fine. If you want to go negative 26, you have to actually type negative 26, or you have to do math 26 minus 36, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas minitator here, just you load this up. So I'm going to type 26. And now it stays that way. And now I can go left or I can go right. Just that easy. And then I can either do everything all as one, or if I have a bunch of things, they will rotate 26 degrees on their centers. So that's kind of cool. Like let's say I want to take this, and if I select this all as one, it rotates as one, versus if I do like this, each one rotates on its center where they are. So, you know, a little bit of undo there. So there you go. So now that I have this set up for 26 degrees and it keeps it even, what I like to do now is I can do Launchpad and I'll type in 26 degrees. And if I hit this little button here, that gets me a degree mark, and I'll hit go. That puts it on the screen for me. So now, even if my minitator closes or whatever, I just remember that I'm at 26 degrees. That's what I'm working with, you know, in case this changes or whatever. I just know that that's 26 degrees. Okay, so now that we have the real size of this at 26, we need to now match it up to what's existing and get rid of the funk. And that way we can get these set and get all this, you know, lined up and get screw holes and everything. Cause you know, we got to do this. We got to get all these screw holes lined up and kind of make this plate, lay it all out. So anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a base plate. Let's do the base plate next. So now that I know that we're at 3 inches here, let's go ahead and copy this forward and get it out of here and get it cleaned up. And I know that this is where the base plate wants to be. So what we're going to do now is grab this, all selected as one. Let's go over 26. There we go. And so now what I can do is, let's get this out of the way. Since we know we want to go 1 inch further up from here, actually, you know what? We want to trim this. That's what we want to do. Boop. That's what we want to do. So we want to take this. We want to make like a little trimmer thing. We want to go 26. That's what we want to do. Go like that. Bonk it right there. And then I'm going to take this. Actually, I want to do this at the node. Much more accurate that way. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to trim it. There we go. And then I'm going to take this and bonk it like that up against there. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to trim it. And that's what we want to do. There we go. And so now this should be 3 by 1. So this measurement right here will be nice and easy for fabrication to start with. They can cut this at 3 inches to the long side and then just go 26 degree cut on the chop saw. We're set up for success. This guy here, right, it's going to be 8.36. So we're very close. So you could just say shy 3/8, and that's going to be good enough for what we're doing here, because once we weld it, you know, it's all going to be fine. So now what I can do is group this and we'll tilt it over. Now we can make this plate because we have that size. So I'm just going to reuse this and I'm going to put it right there. Click. Make sure you've got your constraints when you're doing what I do. I was just talking to one of the designers at work. I work with the highest, like the quickest. You can see how far away my mouse is before it hits all the way out here. That's what you want when you're doing what I do. You want that Duplo blocks, the big Legos snap. You don't want to be waiting until it gets all the way here before you grab a node. You want to be able to be way out here. Look how quickly that grabs that node. I'm already working with this thing all the way over here. And that's really important when you're doing this, because you're just snap to, and you want to snap to as quick as possible. You know, bam, you can almost feel it pull over. So anyway, so what I want to do is we want to grow this by 1. We're going to go 1 inch up, and then we're going to go 1 inch down. So now what I did is I took that piece, made it grow 1 inch. So now we're 1 inch from there and 1 inch down. So now we're kind of close to what we got here. And I'm going to go ahead and make this, let's make this orange just for fun. Okay, so this interstitial piece is orange. So now we got this laid out. Now we can tilt back. And then what we need to do now is get this lined up with this where it is here to try to match that as close as possible, right? So what I'm going to do is group this. And this is where it's not going to be perfect, but we're back to 26. And I'm going to get this lined up there. And I'm going to bring this out so I can just do a guideline. And then I'm going to guideline here, and I'm going to guideline here. Now I know that's not exact, but all of this is pretty close. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to get this as close as possible, because it's really difficult to get that to slap against while it's, you know, and there's ways to do that, but I'm going to do it this way where I get it close, and then I'm going to just tilt the whole thing and get it like smacked against there. So I'm going to go like that. And that's pretty dang close to where I want it. So now I'm going to take the whole thing, select it as 1. I'm going to tilt it back to 2.6. And then I'm going to go ahead and go like that. And then I'm going to do a guideline like that. I'm going to tuck it in. Now I have intersection. That's the size there. And I'm going to go ahead and delete all my guidelines, get them out of the way. And then I'm going to grab this, tilt it back 26, and we'll see where we're at. So I'm going to, just line it up the bottom there. That's well within spec. It's looking good. It's what we want. We have everything lined up. So now we come over here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that just in case, because now because we can always go back to it here. That's the old busted, this new hotness. And then, we've got all this we can always refer to. That's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, I know I just got rid of that, but really that was super redundant. And sometimes it can get a little too crowded if things are, if you're saving too much stuff. You become like a vector hoarder. Trademark. You heard it here first. All right, so now what I need to do is transition, because Corel only works, like this, X and Y. When you're dealing with an angle like this, things are weird. So this is a different perspective than this. So I need to get this laid out X and Y on full size this way. So what we do, simple enough, I'm gonna go ahead and group it and then tilt it back 26. And then what we're gonna do is just line this up, since this is 24 and that's 24. We're just gonna line that up with the top of that. Just to make sure, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit top. Okay, so now this is lined up with that. So now we just need to transpose, this plate over to this plate, set up all our holes, and then, get up a spot where these guys weld in, all that stuff. And then what next thing we'll be doing is doing our cut list, get a cut list set up for fabrication, get these all set up to route. So we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is transfer this. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this for right now so I can work with these. And I'm just going to be lazy, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to smear it across like that. Bam. And then I'm going to clean it up with an X and a Y. This is supposed to be 32. I don't like it like that. So I'm going to do like this. We're going to center it with that, but then we're going to make sure we are centered with that. There. Okay, so that's that plate. I'm going to make it orange so it matches that. Actually, that's kind of close to the red, isn't it? Let's make this purple. There we go. Good differentiation. See, I like to have that color contrast. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we're going to take this, and I want to see what this spacing is here, because that way this spacing can kind of go around. So it'll look like that spacing comes around and, looks good. So I'm going to do how far is it? So how far is it from this edge to this edge? We're looking at 3 1/4 from here to here. That's looking pretty good. So if I were to bring that in, let's say 3. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this 3, both sides. That will be my mounting plate. So you can see there it comes across here. I kind of like that. So it's sort of this and it comes around. I think that'll be a nice look. I know other people are like, why don't you just do, you know, follow the bottom, follow the bottom. You know, it's fine. Looks good like that. So now what we do is we need to transpose at this angle, you know, this distance, because obviously this is longer than 1 because we're cutting at an angle. I'm going to go ahead and transpose where these lie on there. So what I like to do is I can take this, if I want, duplicate it, bring it over here. If you hit the word break, it'll break it apart. And now I just have this. I can get rid of this as rubbish. And so now this gives me my Y, which is 1.255, blah, blah, blah. And then I know this is 1. Whoops. And then there you go. So now I have the profile of this post here, right? And then I'm just going to center that up there. And then I'm going to just spread that out a certain amount. Now I notice that, you know, they don't give me any measurements, but they just give me no love. But I see that, you know, these posty things here, that's a 1x welded to the 1.5 inch is in a little bit. So we want that kind of look. So we're going to go for that right now. So we're kind of building up this frame as we go. So I think, you know, 10 inches apart, we're looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down to match where this guy is. But let's see, I need to do a quick match here just with that. So boom, like that. Line up, get with your buddy. There we go. Okay, so now this is where that post goes with the stretch because it's at an angle, and that goes, that's where those go. So got that laid out. Save, save, save. No crash, no crash. And then this also gives us a good spot. You know, we can go here for our screws for mounting this thing. Gives us plenty of space in here for screws to mount this. Whether we put some in the center, not sure. We'll figure it out. See what we got. So now what we do is we want to kind of score this for that particular thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and off to the side. I'm going to make this thing. So what I like to do is I like to do a 0.03 oversize. So that gives me a 0.03 bigger. It's basically a business card all the way around because no extrusion is exactly 1.5 inches or 1 inch by 1 inch. So I make that bigger. And then what I do is I call a channel tag. That's what they call it. So I hit my channel tagger and we're going to use let's see what a 3/16 looks like. Yeah, that's good. So we'll do a 3/16 bit. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I pass that on to our route guy. So I'm going to make this red. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an inline because I don't want to spend the time to carve this all out. I'm going to do what's called an island fill. I'm going to, island fill is a guy who's kicked back on the beach with his shirt. No, an island fill is when the router scores down and removes all of this material. But to save a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and leave some of it because we're just going to have a 1/8 inch wall tubing. So I'm going to do a 3/16 inline, just like that. And then I'm going to make that red as well. And there we go. And so that is going to be my route down island fill. Now I'm going to go ahead. Now, when you export in DXF, it breaks things apart anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and combine it now. And I'm going to give it this, let's give it this purple color right here. I like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to leave this as you know, in case I need it. Now I'm going to hit do them all. Getting a little bit crowded here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Don't need you. We'll keep you, though. But we'll get rid of you. Don't need tagger anymore. So now what I'm going to do is hit OG shape. And I'm going to hit these as copy 2. I'm going to go apply to all shapes. And then that's going to give me on center a copy of each of those. So we're good to go. I'm going to save that. So now we'll have marked out places where these guys slot in, where that goes. So it's definitive. We have nice on center, even numbers here. So we have, 11 inches on center. So that way when the guys lay this out, it'd be simple for them. We have a nice even number on the chop saw. So that way they can go to 26. Easy, nice and easy there. So that way that's an even number there. So we're closing in. So now let's do some screws. So I'm going to do 1024 tap. So I'm going to go ahead and do over here. I have my taps all laid out. So I have 1024 aluminum. I hit this button and it's going to go ahead and put on there the right size for a tap. And also it names it. See down at the bottom left here. So I have tap 1024. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this to the top and right, and then I'm going to come in an inch. See how it goes. Again, setting up your nudges for even numbers like that just saves so much time and energy. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple here, and then I'm just going to align and distribute and see what we got. So 6 inches apart might be a little too many. So I'm going to get rid of one, and then I'm going to hit it like that. So that puts us at, I'm looking up here, that puts us at 8 inches on center between these two. I like that. Not too many, but we want to have plenty. We want to make it as inconvenient as possible to abscond with this thing, take off with it. So we're going to go ahead and just add that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just add one here, and I'm going to add one here, and then I'm going to hit vertical centers, and I'm going to hit vertical centers. Good to go there. Whether or not we need to have one in the middle, let's just go ahead and do that. I know it's a pain in the butt, but let's just make sure we got this thing really locked down. In case it's cupping in the middle, we can try to pull it. So might as well. Again, try to make it as theft, not nice as possible. So now what we want to do is we need to now flesh out this frame, because I know what the sketch looks like, but we need to know where this frame actually exists here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, duplicate it, come over here. Thank you for your service. We'll put you over here. Thank you for your service. Now I have my, my rotator here. So I'm going to hit it back to 2.6, and now I can start building this frame. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. Let's see. We're going to ungroup, right? And then I'm going to take this. And we are going to come down here with this, because basically I can't build the frame off of this because this is at a weird angle. So we need to go back to this view, right? Oh, this didn't duplicate. I wanted to duplicate that. I don't want to take it apart. There you go, midpoint. So that's what I got. So we got to bring this down, and now we have a side profile here. We are going to build this frame out so that way, it corresponds to what we have here. But remember, this is stretched out. It's not at perspective like this is. So in order for this to look like this, we have to take this, group it, and then basically stretch it to the bottom of this, and we need to stretch it to the bottom of that. And you can see where it gets all squishy and squatty. But when we do that, this gets pretty close to 1 by 1. So it kind of checks out, right? So this actually, if you're looking at it at perspective, is squished. It's 21.6, but that is the size that it's supposed to be this way. So that works out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this, and I'm going to center it here. And then what if we were to put it to the edge of this, and then we would take this and we put it to the edge of this, right? And then we ungroup these, and we can actually just use this and drag it, and there's our cross. And we can take this and we can drag it, and there's our cross. So I think the frame would look good if it was the size of this purple, but we're looking kind of chubby, kind of big. And also, why are we at 26.5? Can't be having that. So we want to bring these in to the edge, make sure we are lined up. There we go. So I'm thinking, because we have these where they are, now we want to represent these little tubes, right? So I want to bring this over here, actually. Okay. So now we want to represent where these tubes are, here and here. So I have a tubing maker. Come up here, push this button. This is tube maker. So if I hit 1 by 1, 1/8 inch wall, which is what we're using, aluminum square tube, we know that's purple. So let's keep it in the same family so we know what we're dealing with component wise. So we want to line it up there, and we want to line it up there. And then we want to line them up here. See, this is how you just mirror your X and Y, makes it easy. Okay, So now here's the posts. We're looking directly at it. This is where the posts are on the 90-degree X and Y versus on the angle. So on the angle, they're represented here, stretched, but here, this is looking right at it. And I'm thinking that's looking pretty good. It's all even numbers. Again, that's what's important. You want to work with even numbers because, again, Stanley Fat Max tape measure is not friendly to major, big old weird stuff. So on center, again, something happened here where stuff's getting a little bit funky, but we're close enough to 9 here. So what if we were to center that up? And we want to go 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. So we want to center that up with that. And then we want to center that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. Okay, so now when you check this, it's at 9. This is at 26. So now we're all even numbers. We're all nice and happy. Oh, you're the one that's you're the one. Yeah, 25.8, whatever. Yeah, we don't want that. See, it helps to have this all measured out because later on, I'm going to be shooting numbers off of this, and I just want whole numbers. So we're good to go. So now the frame's represented. So now what we're going to do is just drag this over. So what I do is I'll hit my move it here, and I have this already set for 1.5 inches. So I'm going to grab this node, and that's going to give me a 45. And then I'm going to move this down 1.5 inches. I'm going to grab this node, move it down, and I'm going to grab this node, and I'm going to move it over. So now we're good at 45. And then same thing here. I'm going to grab these nodes. I could shrink this, or I'm just going to grab these nodes and move them 1.5 inches. And so now I have my parts. And so now that I have my frame built, what I like to do is color code it for the guys in the shop. So that way pieces that are the same, they see how it goes together. So I'll go ahead and let's do light blue for these, or a blue like that. That's for the longies. Crossbar, we'll throw, you know who you are, throw a magenta on there. And then I'll do an orange on there. So these are all the ones that are, different shapes, different colors. So then what I like to do is I'll take this and break it out and give them measurements. So now, is 50 enough to go into the ground here? We want to make sure. Usually I like to give a little extra because the guys for install, if they want, they can chop a little off. It's a lot more difficult to add in the field than it is to chop off. So I might actually, because we want 42, according to this, 42 from grade. So if I type 42 here and make a rectangle, and I go ahead and make that to the top of that. This is our grade line. Let's make that green. So if this is our grade line at 42, we've got 13 in the ground, which is probably okay, but we want to make sure this doesn't go anywhere. It will be rather top heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and add, so we're at even number 50 right now. But let's go ahead and add 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. That's a little better. That way they can dig around, make a nice big heavy concrete if they want, but make sure that this thing is in there. Because again, this is going to be kind of heavy and you don't want it walking off. So now that we have the frame laid out the way we want it, now we can go ahead and just hit sizey. So we're done with you, we're done with you, we're done with you. Thank you. So I hit my S up here, I get my sizes. So if I hit Y, that gives me the size in inches. Just hit this gives me the inches. This is why it's important that these are all even numbers. See, like here, 227 ended up being not quite there. This is supposed to be 23, but I'm gonna get this for my X, and I don't want that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and load it up into this guy here, and I'm going to redo this. There we go. So now I hit X, I get 23. We're going to go ahead and switch that to a 2-inch font, and I'm going to change all of these to 2-inch font that's coming out after this. This is 26, that's great. So we're good there. And then what I like to do is I will make a rectangle here, hit Y, and that gives me my spacing in between. And then what I'll do is I'll hit break, right? That gets rid of all these, and that leaves me with a line segment right here, right? And if I want to put arrows, I hit this, and I can make this like that. And then let's go ahead and make this, yeah, a little bit smaller than that. So what do we got? Let's do this at 0.1. That's better. Okay, so I got 9.5, boom. Let's go ahead and make this orange again. Welcome. That's it. So I got this laid out. This is where the 23-incher goes. I got 9.5 in between. It's easy for the guys to measure that. They know that all of this is 1.5-inch tubing. 26 across there, 23 across here, 56 total there. Next, what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and make these two. There we go. There we go. Next, what we're going to do is break this out into a cut list for the guys. So we're going to come like this. And what I'm going to do is just rotate these. I'm just going to take that. Take these. I'm going to rotate these 90. Right? Just like that. You know, I'm going to flip it this way. There we go. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to go like that. Keep these. All right, so there's my cut list. Move up 1 more inch, just give me a little more room. Okay, that's for the frame, but I don't have these guys yet. Don't forget the 1-bys. So now I'm just going to come over here and grab these guys like that. I'm going to come over here and we'll give this guy a cool color. He's going to be, you get this color here. And you get to be this color. So what I like to do is make sure that they understand that 3 is on the long and that this, unfortunately, will be your weird color or your weird size. I try my best to avoid those sizes, but there's really nothing you can do. And then what I'll do is I'll just type it out real quick on my stencil machine here. And then I'll just be on long side. Just to be clear, you know, sure, they're fabricators. They probably know, you know, but again, never assume. There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that these are out of the way so there's no confusion. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my launch pad again, and I'm going to go ahead and hit 26 degrees. And we're going to go ahead and hit that. Not to be confused with 98 degrees. So that way they know that this is a 26 degree cut, 3 inches on the long side. Actually, this is kind of confusing here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this like that. And I'm going to bring this down. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the top. There we go. That's better. So 26 degree, 26 degree. We've got 2 of them. Quantity 2 and quantity 2. There we go. Cut list ready to go. And so frame layout's ready. Actual parts, everything there. We got our screw holes, everything. We got their plaque ready to go. So what I want to do is I want to name this. This is curve. I'm going to make sure that I have everything named and ready to go. This is going to be a rectangle. So I'm going to make 3 shapes out of that. But so we have all that ready. Got this ready. And so let's continue making a cut list. So now that I have my launch pad here, you can see what I do. I just go 1.5 by 1.5 by 0.125 T for wall thickness, aluminum square tube. Go. and that goes ahead and puts it on the screen for me, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. Good to go there. And then what I like to do is just take my tubing maker again and just hit it with a 1x. It doesn't have to be to scale, but I like to put it like here. That way we know for sure it's square tube. Just visual design looks good. You know, if it's a round tube, then that way I just hit that, and you know it'll make a round tube like that. So depending on how I want to do it, so that way it's very clear, very visual that it is aluminum square tube, and that's the size. 3" on the long side. You know, hopefully they can figure out that's close enough. 3/8, et cetera, et cetera. Now what I'll do is I want to make a round. I'm going to make a PDF out of this. So if I hit Band Plus with 50%, that gives me a nice little square like that. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that down to more of a 3%. I'm going to select that. There you go. I like that right there. Then what I'm going to do is hit this, and I'm going to give it, let's give it like a 2" border with, there we go. I like that. Then I'm going to hit my symbols. I want Edgar to pay attention to this because he's going to chop this up. Inside joke there, but Edgar, looky. This is a little fat. It's a little fat. I'm going to go ahead and just hit that with a 1. That's better. Okay, so now this is going to help me break this out into a separate PDF very quickly. Show you how to do that. But that's the cut list we need for this job. We're good to go. So it's time to start breaking out parts. So I'm going to take this, duplicate it over, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this over. We're going to get rid of this because we don't need that. And I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need that. So that's this part here. And I'm going to go ahead and rename this through shape. And I'm going to make it 10% gray. We don't need any of you anymore. Thank you very much. I'm going to make it 10% gray. That's aluminum in my color coding. So now this part is ready to go. Now what we're going to do is take this, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit make through shape, and it's just going to make a piece that's already named. Now these need to be through holes. These holes are being tapped for 1024. These need to be through. So I'm going to go ahead and do them all again. And I'm going to go ahead and do a 2-2 hole. This is a good clearance hole. 0.22 is good for number 10 for the way we do things. So I'm going to hit this, load it up as OG shape. Green means we're good to go. Then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pick the name of it right here. Then I'm going to grab all of these, hit go. It's going to find them. So I'm going to copy to these. I'm going to erase the original, apply to all shapes. And now I have 0.22s on the backer piece. So now the backer piece is laid out symmetrically, so we don't need an arrow. If we did put an arrow though, you would see it. We don't want that. So I'm not going to put a reference kiss arrow, but sometimes if it was necessary to know which way was up, I would put a reference kiss arrow, and that would be, you know, it would be ground into they would kiss it into the aluminum there. But instead, we set this up symmetrically, so there really is no up or down. So that's all good. Also, what I'm going to do, just for safety's sake, I'm going to radius these corners. So I'm going to grab my radius machine here that has like my hot buttons of things I like to use a lot. And I'm just going to go ahead and put, I'm going to go ahead and put a 0.625. I'm going to put a 16th round on that just to safety it off for people. You know, try to respect your neighbor. All right, so this piece is ready. This piece is ready. We've got our island fills. We're good to go. Frames are laid out. Pieces are laid out. I think we're all set. So now that we've got everything built, we can get rid of all this. I don't need 26 anymore. We got this ready. So next is to set up the route files. So I'm going to go to hi, my name is, and I'm going to create pages for this. So what do I have? Really all I have is to route is 1/4 inch aluminum. So 0.25 aluminum, we're going to call plaque faces. Now, this brings up a good point that I'm going to break these into 2 separate files. Normally, because this is, normally I make a DXF file based on material. So like this is both quarter. So of course I would send this as one file and say, boom. But the thing is this needs to get engraved on the other side, and it needs to be beveled, and it needs to be engraved on this face. But I also need to have these holes on the back side. So this means that this plaque needs a double process, which really stinks. We don't like to do that because it's a pain in the butt, because you have to fixture it and then you have to flip it and make sure it's exactly where it is. But I've already talked to Route. He's down. So but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this separately, because while he's engraving this, I'm going to ask that he routes this first and makes sure this gets put into production, because then fabrication can go ahead and build this frame separately. Really, all we need for this is to tap it, and then it goes directly to paint. We do not need the face in order to build this frame. So I'm going to go ahead and send these as separate files to make sure that, go ahead and route this and send it through, and then take your time to mess around with whatever this thing needs to do with your flipping and making sure all that. Now, this brings up a point where obviously there's an up and a down on this. And once this thing's screwed down to the back of this, you won't see anything on the back of this. So I am going to put a reference arrow for anyone else involved, so that way they know which way's up on this thing. So this is going to be the back. Also, I'm going to set up some notifications here. So I'm going to make this a 10, and I'm going to flip it like this. This means it's upside down. So this is mirrored this way, and this is actually mirrored. Technically, it's upside down as well. Yeah, we are looking at the back of it. So that way we're really clear about what's happening. And so that way we do have a clear up and down, because you can see where there's all this room here and there's no room here. So anyway, so now we're good there. Yeah, let's do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do plaque face, make a page, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and do plaque frame backer. I'm going to make a new page. There we go. So I got the plaque frame backer, and I actually have the plaque face. I'm going to put the plaque face first. Come on. There you go. And then plaque frame. Okay. So now I can just export these separately, but I'm just going to copy them both. Let's just save time. Copy. Hit paste. Yeah, we're done with you. Thank you. And paste. So plaque frame backer, that's this one. So we're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to do plaque face. We're going to get rid of this. Because what we're going to need to do with plaque face is actually create this side as well that has all of these, basically this is all going to be engraved. Now, I'm not really read into how the engraving is going to be, and it's more technical. It's more about how the router guy wants to do it, or the router they. Plus, they have to bevel the edge and all that. So I'm going to make a note that he needs to get in touch with the designer or the salesperson to make sure that they know exactly how deep they want this, what they want. Also, paint department needs to deal with it, because they have to paint it and then engrave it, and it has to be cleared and all that. So that's why I'm making this a separate file. So that way this thing can be routed, and then they can mess around with this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and this, since these are two different sizes now, I created a different animal. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to make this like that. And then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to like that. There we go. Now I'm going to send this to the back, and I'm going to ungroup to get rid of all of that. I'm going to get rid of these little nuggets, any kind of nuggets like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and we're going to make that purple. No, magenta. You know who you are. Okay, so this is essentially all the engraving we need to make happen, and that is lined up to our matching full official face. So I'm going to you know what, I didn't check to make sure that this thing is, yeah, looks like it. Nice. Most of the time these aren't actually, what do you call it, mirrored equilibrium on both sides, or what, equal on both sides. So, but it looks like we lucked out, because usually I do that. So So now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to bring it up to the plaque face. And then I'm going to go ahead and there we go. Okay, so this is the back. This is the front. So this is the side that I'm confident. If he routes that, we're all good. That's what I need. This side, it's obvious that it's engraved, but I just want to make sure that he, I'm not totally read into the best way of doing this. So again, I'm going to make sure that he understands that he wants to check in before he gets all crazy and starts routing that. But we have this backer. Please go ahead and route that. And we have all this and we're good to go. There we go. So time for layers. So I'm going to get my layers machine, info words. All these guys are good. I'm going to have an on-center shape there. And then I'm going to do a custom layer. Custom layer is engrave. Custom layer is engrave, C in designer. I'll go ahead and just call them out. Ha! Here comes the bus, JR. CJR for deets. There you go. We can make sure it's on there. So engraver, C and JR for deets. And then we also want a bevel. So I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to rename what I just did. And then I'm going to make it purple. There we go. So I'm going to send that to the layer for bevel, but I'm going to make a layer called bevel. Bevel edge. There we go. Make layer. So now we have bevel edge. We have engrave CJR for deets. Reference kiss on center. So we're filling that out, looking good. I think we have everything we need for that. We're going to do info words. 1/4 inch, looking good. And then I'm just going to go ahead and on the info words section, I'm going to type in some info here. CJR for I want to, there you go. Oh, yeah, we got studs. So layers, layer machine, come over here, stud mount tap holes, make layer. There we go. All right, so we have a layer for that, we have a layer for that, I'm good to go. We'll come back and clean this up. So now same thing, info words, throughs and shapes, whatever. We have no reference kisses. We do have island fill though. Our island fill is 0.0625. And we want to do, it's not dealer's choice. I know that we need a 3/16 bit to clear that. So I'm going to go ahead and make that layer. There we go. So we're good to go there. But I think we're all set. So we hit our info words. We're still dealing with aluminum. And then I want to get this that's better. And then what I want to do is leave instructions for I'm going to do route first for let's see, route first for fab. Make frame. Make frame. Let's see, get rid of all this. Don't need that. Let's see. So I want to make these a little bit smaller. Thank you, sir. Let's see what I want to do. Make this like a 2. Yeah, that's good. So that's nice and clear. I think it makes sense. So now it's time to save, and we're going to start cleaning this up. Grab this, I'm going to grab these and make sure these are all on info words, so that way they can turn it off like that and it goes away. And then I'm going to grab these. I'm going to hit Super Scraper and see what comes off. Yep, worked out perfectly. So these stay. These stay. I'm going to go ahead and hit Dupe Checker. I'm going to hit Position and Size. Looks like there's nothing. We're good to go. So now I'm going to grab these. I should have 4 objects. I'm sending those to Island Fill, hit Hide. And then I should have these. I'm going to go ahead and hit 3/16 bit. These holes need a 3/16 bit to get through. So I'm going to send that to the layer. And then this can be whatever he wants. Dealer's choice. So now I hit delete, gets rid of any empty layers that I'm not using. Hit visible all. We're set. This is now ready for a DXF file. Now we're going to go here, clean this up. So I'm going to grab everything that's supposed to be on info words first, and I'm going to send that to that layer. Did I end up with 3 info words? We're going to go ahead and go over here to our objects manager, and we're just going to get rid of these. We're just going to delete each of these because these are empty. Don't need these. All right. So now if we refresh, now that's the info words. That's the real info words. We had some imposters. How'd those get in there? So I'm going to send that to info words. I'm going to hit that, hit hide. Good to go. I'm going to go ahead and do my dupe checker now. Yep. That's a false positive. It's fine. So what I'm going to do is hit this. I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. That's going to bevel edge. Hit hide. I know that these are all going to the engraver CJR for deets. Hide. And then this is throughs and shape. Send that, hide. These are bottom taps, but I'm going to go ahead and send this reference kiss to reference kiss. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Go ahead and send this to bottom taps, hide those. And then I have throughs and shape, that goes there, hide that. So now I go ahead and delete everything that's empty. And then I hit visible for info words. I hit reference kiss on center. I have a little arrow there. I have all the engraver stuff. That's right here. CJR for that. I have a bevel edge. That's right there. I have bottom taps. That's right there. And then whatever's left are the 2 shapes. So it all checks out. We're good to go. I already did my dupe checker. We are ready for DXFs. So now I grab my exporter here. Let's hit save. What I like to do first though is I'll go ahead and just make sure nothing is selected. Nothing's selected. If you hit reference PDF, ref PDF, it gives you a printout of the entire CDR. So now the CDR is captured in a PDF file for the back shop guys to read. So they can go on here and they can, zoom in on this. It tells them what size the frame is, all these measurements. What I'll probably do is I'll go ahead and bust this out into a separate PDF as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that here in a second. Just that easy. But while I'm here, I'm going to do my DXFs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select. And what it's doing is it's keeping this as the file name, and it's going to go ahead and grab this page name, and it's going to load it there. So you can see where if I hit grab name, it grabs the name of the file. But then when I hit select, it selects all the parts and grabs the page name, and then export DXF. Oh, it's throwing that off again, isn't it? Yeah, we got to do that. So we're going to send that back. So what happened is it'll do a false positive. So I need to turn dupe checker override on because I already know I don't have any dupes. So I'm going to select it again. I'm going to hit that. And now somewhere next layer. Yeah. There we go. All right. There we go. Yeah, because normally I don't put a bevel like this around and it throws the dupe checker off because it's measuring center on center. So it was throwing a bunch of false positives there. So once I dealt with it, got it taken care of, then we were good to go on that. So, but you can see where I have my DXF set. Good to go. So I'm going to go here. We're going to hit select. Looks like there's no duplicates and our DXF set. So now I got my 2 DXFs just like that, all named, all exported, all ready to go. And then I use the DWE TrueView. And what this does is gives you a third opinion or second opinion. So that way I'm not re-importing. So this is like how it's like getting, it's like I said, a second opinion. You're getting something that's a native DXF reader. You're getting its opinion and you can tell that it's all working. If something was hinky, this thing wouldn't be able to open it. Now I know that you can just re-import into Corel, but when you're importing, maybe Corel's doing something to fix something. Whereas when you're getting, like I said, it's a second opinion from an actual DXF reader. So you can get this free from AutoCAD. It works great. And that way you can just, like I said, you can natively open a DXF without re-importing. And that way you can tell if like NRoute's going to like it. Because a lot of times when we export something from Corel and NRoute is angry, then it's because something up. So it's really helpful then when you try to open it with this program, it won't open either. So you're kind of like, and it helps you really like troubleshoot things sometimes. So that's what I like to do with that. So we're good there. We have our PDF there. So we have a couple things left to do. I'm done with that. Thank you, sir. What we're going to do is we're going to create these PDFs for cut list. So if I hit select, right? So if I hit ref PDF now, right here, it's going to send a PDF with everything on it. If I have a selection, then it switches it over to exporting just what's selected. And then that creates an instant PDF of just this. So what I need to do though is I'm going to go ahead and add a name to this as in cut list to describe what this is. Now I'm going to hit ref PDF and you can see just that quick, bam, it has exported a cut list. So it just exported what I need. So now the guys can print this and they can go ahead and see what's up. Now I just noticed here, I like to be clear. I know I can assume that the guys know that this is 45, but I left that off. So I'm going to go ahead and add that just to make sure that everything is super clear. Now I know this is kind of funky because I'm trying to let you see all this, but usually it's a little more straightforward because I don't have all this in my way. I have all of this stuff always on my second screen to my right. So if it seems kind of like I'm clunking along, usually I don't have to keep coming back to this screen for this stuff. It's almost muscle memory when it's over here on my other screen. So I kind of apologize if it's sort of clunky or whatever, if I'm kind of, all this is in the way. But normally this is my view and I have everything on my other screen. So anyway, so what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take my Launchpad. Again, Launchpad just stays over there, but I'm bringing it over here so you can see it. 45, and then I hit the degree button right here. So now I'm going to hit go. All right, so now I can just plunk that there. I'm going to bring this down to a 2-inch, and that's clear. And again, the guys would know. I'm sure they know, but what are we doing? We're assuming. We don't want to assume. That's the agreement number 3. Never assume. All right, so now we're good. But this is how easy it is because now I just need to remake this. I go ahead and reselect it. It will automatically overburn just what we just did, just like that. It doesn't even ask. It's just a save as. So just that quick, I made a quick little change, make sure that those are 45 and they know it. Clap your hands. So we close that, we're good. So I don't need Launchpad over here and we'll keep this here. So now I did a cut list and I realized that I need to have a layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to make a layout. And again, if I hit BAM plus, what it does is it puts a thing around it that's a percentage bigger than it is. So this right here is 03. I like this. So I'm going to go like this and I'm going to rename this instead of cut list. I'm going to hit layout and then I'm going to hit ref PDF and it just created another PDF. So you can see my PDFs stacking up and this is what layout looks like. So these guys are going to get this. Oh, I need to tell them where these go. Duh. Getting a little ahead of myself, getting all excited, showing you guys how it is. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and lay that out. So we're going to get rid of this. And then see what I did there? See, I had this laid out just for PDF, but because this is now rubbish, just get rid of that. Go back to where we were. So where these guys are, and I think I'm going to make these, what can we see? If I make those white, I like that. Yeah, I like that. So we can get this out of the way. Like I say, this stays open over here, but I got to get it out of the way so you can see what's up. So what we can do is, instead of making this too crowded, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one over here, but that doesn't have this stuff. And that way it'll be just dedicated to these guys. So now what I can do is on center. So if I take my on center thing here and I hit on screen, it will put that on screen like that, because I know this is 18 inches on center. So maybe I'll do a 1 inch here. And then if I do this, it'll do on center Y like that. So that could work, but these guys don't know Corel and they don't know what X and Y mean sometimes. So what I might do instead is I will just take a rectangle, go in the center there, and I'll go to there and make sure that it's 18 by 11. And then again, if I hit my break apart, it'll break this apart. And then I can just get rid of these. If I duplicate that and run that up, and if I duplicate this and I run this up, this gives me a dimension tool. I mean, I know they have the dimension tool, but it's kind of rubbish. I don't really like the dimension tool. So this is, I kind of made my own. So I can just take that. And now if I hit Sizey here, call him in, I got 18 right there. So let's hit this with a 2. We're good to go. Get rid of that. Also, what I can do here is I can go dark blue. And because these are of the rest of the, on this one, these don't matter, I'm going to go ahead and no fill these. There we go. I like that. So there's 18. We can do here is we'll put that back on center, and then I'm going to use these for the on center this way. And then I'm going to bring this over here, and I don't need that. Thank you for your service. That, like that. That's blue. There we go. And then I'm going to hit this for Sizey. There's 11. Hit that for 2, right? Yep. Center that up. Okay. So this is 11 on center, 18 on center. Looking good. And then sometimes I'll just do this, you know, just to make it easier on them. Sometimes it's easier just to know the insides. So I'll hit break up. Just because I'm a nice guy. You never know, right? Because it's so easy. $18 on center, 17. And it goes up to there. There's my Y. There's my 2. And my 10. Just like that. right. Oop. We don't need those. I think they got it. So that's 11 on center. I'm gonna go ahead and put OC just for kicks, just so they know what's up. Yeah, I think that's clear enough. I think the outside is clear enough. All right, so there you go. I think we're good. 11 on center. This is on center. Let's say we'll give them an equal typical. How about that? Just to make sure it's super clear. What I'll do is I'll just do a typical, drag this in. I have a symbol of this, and then I'll just bring it down a little bit, just like that. And then we just do equal. Like that. 2. Let's do 1. Yep, that works good. So that's typical for all. Equidistant there, equidistant there. I think they get it. That should work. So now what I can do is take this, go ahead and put a bam around this. There we go. So that's my layout. And now I can come over here, hit my reference PDF, and we'll see what that looks like. There we go. Looking good. So now we have this laid out on center, tube on center. This here is how you lay out the frame. Nice and clear. So all this is going to get emailed to everybody, and that way it's all nice and clear. Now, because I added this, I want to redo the whole reference PDF because I added this layout. This didn't exist. So I'm going to go ahead and just back this out, right? Don't select anything, hit reference PDF again. And what it's going to do is just overwrite that original reference PDF. And now the reference PDF has everything I need, right? It's all back here. We're all caught up. So just that quick, I updated the reference PDF without having to, reopen, resave, all that. So 2 DXFs, reference PDFs ready to go. Last thing, now we create print PDFs to print these 2 pages out so that way they can inventory it as it comes off of the router. So again, I'm going to do grab name, make sure that I have just the file name selected, and then I'm going to hit print prep. And that's going to go ahead and resave this whole thing. The CDR gets renamed as its own CDR. So I'm no longer messing with the original CDR, and I have print with all of this here to create a print-only version. So I can do whatever I want because I'm going to trim it. So then I hit this, and I grab printer ready, player 1 ready right here. And I want to get rid of pages 3 and 4. And I hit trim. And now it's taken the stuff that I want to keep and put it on an 11 by 17 tabloid sheet. I hit checklist. It puts a quality control checklist up in the corner. And now all I got to do is hit print PDF, and it names it. And now I have a print PDF, which is just these files here. And the guys use these for inventory as they come off of the router. So they can look for this part, and then they check it to make sure it's all there. So we're good to go. So we have our PDFs here, cut lists, and now we have a print PDF, and we have a DXF. So now I'm going to distribute this to the server. I'm going to distribute this to all the people, and we're going to make ourselves a plaque. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in. Hopefully it's, helps you kind of learn. Again, if anyone wants to do this at the shop, see me. This is kind of a how-to. So, always down to help people out. So as usual, if you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the technique. Check the technique.